Difficult. Women. Welcome back to America.
Ole.
How long has it been?
Oh my God, like 5 years.
It seriously
so
has.
long. I know.
It's been over a month since we've seen each other.
No.
Yes.
Like 3 weeks?
No.
Oh.
You were gone 3 weeks and then...
You were gone a week.
But during the time.
No, yeah, it's been like a month.
It's been a month.
That's
I mean,
cray.
you haven't been counting down the days?
That's correct. Oh yeah, I was just testing you.
Welcome back. I'm so excited to see you.
Oh my God.
From her adventure across the pond.
More than across the pond.
Or across.
And then some.
Yes.
In beyond the ocean.
Way into the world.
I was in Spain. If you were wondering. That was like a really confusing way to get there, but I went to Spain.
Welcome back
Thanks.
to New York. It's still a hellfire and
oh my God, I've had like the worst 4 days.
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
It's
That's
just
the
like
thing
a
about
nightmare.
New York City is when you travel and you experience love and wonder of other cities, and you come back and it literally is like bend over. I'm gonna fucking.
Oh yeah, and then you're like, this. I didn't never said it was okay.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah.
the worst.
Yeah.
Coming into the airport, like the minute you step into the JFK airport, you want to murder somebody. It's like the anger just boils over.
Yeah.
It's just the energy here.
Yeah.
I love
Just
it.
a lot of anger.
It's my
and
favorite
rage.
city. I love it here.
It's
in
my
New York.
favorite. Yeah.
Anyway, well, before we get into our travel stories, because today we're going to be
Yes.
talking about traveling.
Yeah. And as a woman versus a man,
Sure.
solo travel, a me-cation rather.
Sure.
Have you heard of that?
No, but okay. Well, I'm in. But before we get into that, we did an episode a couple of weeks ago about apologizing, and we had sort of asked people to spend a week not apologizing and see how that goes for them. So we did it too.
Yes. How'd that go for you?
You know, I had some good moments and some bad moments. I had one recently. I was just thinking about how I had this one where I was out somewhere and there wasn't a liner in the trash bin. And so I wanted to let the manager know so that they didn't destroy the trash can. You know, it's like such a pain in the ass when there's all this garbage in the can, but there's no bag, you know?
Yeah, and obviously if you throw something in, somebody else is going to have
it's
to
like
get
a
in
nightmare. And then some poor sucker has to clean that out.
Right.
So I went to the manager and I don't know what came over me, but I kept apologizing to him. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to bother you. I'm so sorry, but there's no bag in the trash can. And he was sort of like, thanks for letting me know. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. And I was like, what is happening to me right now? And so that was my big slip up.
The
trash can thing. I don't know why.
There wasn't a condom in the trash can, and you were
Right.
apologizing for it. Interesting.
Yeah, but that was my. Otherwise, I think I did okay.
I don't think I've said it once.
Oh, maybe you should be saying it sometimes.
I should probably be
I
apologizing
knocked
more.
this old lady over, and I was like, "Fuck you!
Fuck you! Get out of here! Get out of my way!"
Yeah.
No, but I have been. I don't know if this is worse or better, but I say, "Pardon me."
Pardon
Excuse me.
me.
Pardon me. Do you have any grape?
Pardon me.
No, but because
That's probably good though.
yeah, bartending on Governor's Island, still doing that.
Yeah.
It's bee season, by the way, so you just
good.
have to fight swarms of bees while you're pouring cocktails. But there's a lot of people, and you have to kind of get through. And before our podcast on apologizing, I'd be like, "Sorry, excuse me, sorry." And now it's like I change it to "pardon me" or
I think that it makes a difference though, because I think psychologically the apologizing is sort of like I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas pardon me is more just like get the fuck out of my way.
yeah, pardon
Which is
me.
like yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
But on the subway too, I used to say sorry, don't want,
Yeah.
But I've been saying pardon me.
good.
Yeah.
You're getting stronger. Just don't put me near an empty trash bin. Otherwise, I'm good.
But we want to hear from you listeners. Email us at difficultwomenpodcast@gmail.com and let us know your stories, because I really am. I think it's really exciting to know how everybody else is struggling with this.
Somebody did write us in and let us know.
Already?
Look at that already.
Look at that, we already got
It's amazing.
one.
It's not even a live podcast.
Yeah.
But there you go. Why not?
Hello, we have an email. All right. Yes, we do. From Katy Robinson.
Good name.
Great name. And she spells it like you.
I know. I'm very into it.
That's Katy, folks. If you ever write us, Katy really likes her name spelled right.
Who doesn't?
Okay, well, Katy wrote in. I think this is so funny. So she said, I was very inspired and determined to pay attention so that I'd catch myself before saying I'm sorry. Well, I went out to eat by myself. When the waiter came over, he kicked one of the empty chairs at the table possible. And without even realizing what was happening, I automatically blurted out, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like I had moved the chair out in front of him or something. I realized what I'd said, and I just started laughing, and he probably thought I was a little crazy, but that's okay. After that, I was able to catch myself before blurting out, "I'm sorry," all the time. Anyway, the episode was a great reminder to be conscious of what you're saying. You ladies are amazing, and keep up what you're doing.
Yeah, I relate
so
to that. I feel like that.
nice.
I feel like I say sorry for things I'm not even involved in. So like I get that.
Yeah.
I get it. Good for you, Katie.
Good. Yes.
Let's all keep working on it, okay?
Yeah. No
then-
apologizing.
No,
Just say-
unless you do something wrong, okay? Let's just clarify that part. We're not saying don't
ever apologize.
right.
But
just only
yes.
if it's not your fault.
Only
Don't
if you
apologize.
only if you really mean it.
Yeah,
Well, that's cool. Well, thanks for writing in about that.
totally.
So
Now,
what else is going on?
Back to me. No.
Well, I mean, it's funny when you got here. I have so many questions because yes, I haven't seen you in a month, and you were just in Spain at a roller skating camp. And,
Yeah.
I'm dying to ask you, but before I was like, don't say anything. Save it for the pod.
Totally.
So now's my chance.
So now's the chance. Well, like Marie said, I went to a roller skating camp. It was called Blading Camp in Malaga, Spain.
Blading Camp, which I looked on the map. It's right on the coast, the southern tip of Spain.
Yes, very, very far south. If you cross the waters, you end up in Africa.
God, that's so cool.
So it's really far. Yeah, and it was very hot.
Yeah,
but,
did you do okay there with the?
It was good.
the
It was
heat?
like it was a dry heat.
It was dry heat.
So it was okay.
dry
There was a
heat.
couple days that were a little rough, but like they ended up doing the camp so that like we'd spend 3 hours in one skate park in the morning. Then we'd do something in the afternoon, like usually in water because it was so hot. And like we'd go to the beach or we'd go to like a lake or something. And then we'd spend another 3 hours roller skating in another skate park.
Jeez.
So it was a lot of skating. And like the main thing so it was really fun. It was really like camp. There was a couple kids there too, who were really, and it was all women.
Yeah, it's an all women
It was
skate
all
camp.
females, and then about half of the skaters were rollerbladers, and the other half were roller skaters. And everyone was so cool. We all got along really well. The people ran it really, really smoothly. It was only good things I have to say about it. If anything that I have to complain about is like I wish it had been almost a little bit longer, so I could have gotten to know people a little bit more deeply. But hopefully we will all stay in touch. And if you're listening out there, ladies, send us an email. No, I don't know. But the main thing I wanted to like mention about it was. So it's like skate park skating, and you're like throwing yourself down these like ramps, and like it's dangerous. I mean, I fell a lot of times. People were falling all over the place. And the amount of fearlessness that I experienced this weekend, like seeing other women being so badass and fearless, them influencing me to be more fearless and more confident in my abilities. There were these two girls, Australian girls, and there were also people from all over the world. So that was really cool too.
All over, wow.
But these two Australian girls, especially like this one, so there's like there was a bowl, which is like that big thing that you skate in.
Right.
It's like a big bowl. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
There was one that I actually could kind of get into, but I was like scared, I was like, oh, I've never done this. I don't know.
Because it's like you have to go, oh my God.
You have to go in. And like this one, you didn't have to drop in, so you didn't have to like jump up and go down into this deep thing. It had like a little bit of like a smaller entrance, but you still had to like roll into it, and it was
I can't
steep.
imagine you doing that.
Yeah, it was a lot. And you see the videos, and I feel like I'm like, woo, I'm whizzing around. But like when you see the video, I'm like, like not barely going around. But it felt, it's a big step. So I was like, kind of like, oh, I can't do that. And then these two girls were like, we just went into the bowl. Like, you should go. And I was like, oh, no, I can't. And they were like, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Man, that's so
and that
cool.
was like, I needed to hear them say that for me to go, you're right, I can. And then I did it. And it was something about like this group of women all supporting each other and encouraging each other. The energy was and you have to take risks or else like you don't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, and
Were
some
there people that didn't take, like that just would sit
everybody
there?
Everybody took some risk for sure. Wow. Every single person pushed themselves out of their comfort zone for sure. Some people maybe went further than others, but I feel very confident that every single person like pushed their limits, and like that was really cool, and that like they really the environment was so supportive that way. So what I kind of learned too, and here's one last thing I just wanted to say about that, is that like what I learned the most, aside from like tricks on skating, and I'd never been in a skate park before, and I can like now do all these like little tricks and things, and I really am encouraged to do more and like try to.
I mean, this is blowing my mind.
It was really cool.
Wow.
But the main thing that I learned was that like if you are trying to do something, right? Trying to do a trick or something, and you doubt yourself for even a moment, that's when you fall. That's when you hurt yourself. If you don't have the confidence, when you start to lose the confidence. And like, that is a lesson for
everything
in life.
Yeah.
And then also, like, sometimes things will scare you, but if you face the fear and you do them anyway, you gain so much. And the only ingredient you need to achieve a thing is the confidence. That's really all you need. And that's like what I really walked away with.
And how do you get that confidence?
It's all
in mind.
If you're lucky, you have people around you that support you and like help you gain it. But other than that, it has to. But really, at the end of the day, people can tell you till they're blue in the face, you can do it, but you have to believe it.
Right.
And that's what I like learned more than anything. And watching these women, people were doing flips off these like giant ramps, like flips in the air. And I was like, and the women doing this that you think like girls can't. We would come in to these skate parks.
Yeah, I was going to ask also, was it like roped off for the blade camp?
It was like there'd be boys, and there was mostly boys in the parks when we get there, and they'd be like, oh, these girls are here, blah. And then we would, I mean, I say we, I wasn't really so much that, but there would be like our girls were bad ass, and they'd come in and they would show up, each of those guys, and the guys would be trying to keep up, and I'm like, you can't keep up with our best girls, period.
Wow.
And it would like, I don't know, I hope that they learned something too, but if they didn't, I don't care. It was cool.
And you started off 2 years ago roller skating here in Brooklyn?
Like a year and a half or something. I skated as a kid.
Right.
But
you were doing like skate aerobics here,
like
of like dancing
skating.
and
Because
like when you told me about your blading camp, I was like, I thought that it would be more like skate aerobics type thing. So then on Instagram, when you're posting that you're doing a ramp, I was like, oh my God, that is not, because you're not the most, I mean, you're athletic in some ways, but I wouldn't say that you're like, you know, number one.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Kickball
and
captain.
certainly I'm a scaredy cat about things sometimes.
Right.
So like to have to be that brave to like even try that stuff.
I mean, I am in complete awe of you right now. Seriously.
Thanks.
I for you, you know, because you had told me, you know, when you said that you woke up or, you know, you had a dream that you were doing something, roller skating or whatever, and then you just fucking did it. So then you went out to fucking Brownsville, Brooklyn, and joined this group, and completely on your own. You didn't bring a friend. It was like just something inside you that you needed. Just something new, and to instill confidence in you, or something. You know, there was something that like you were missing, and you went and found it.
Yeah.
And then because of that, taking that risk.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, cut to a year and a half later, you're in Spain, roller skating in bowls.
Right.
Like that to me is the coolest thing that you can say. Like, you know, something's missing in my life. I need a different group of people or community. My confidence is lacking, so I want to pump it up. And you fucking just did it.
Yeah.
You did the Brooklyn thing, and then now the Spain thing, and then I can't wait. I mean, I don't know what you're doing next.
As it turns out, this like roller skating community, because it's kind of small in some ways, even though it's like across the world, and because of Instagram you can connect with people and stuff. And one of our instructors, like I had just started following her on Instagram because I had like a kind of girl crush on her, this girl Barbie, and she ended up being one of our instructors. And wow. I was like, oh, my head was like exploding, and she was so helpful. And like, but the fact is, and she's from Argentina. You know,
wow.
So it's like this world community. So it's a thing that we all kind of left feeling like, oh, we're going to travel with skating.
Wow.
Skating is like a way we can travel. And like, I don't know. And to be surrounded by such cool ladies.
I am curious, what was your first international passport stamp?
You know, I saw that I think it was Spain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is weird because my parents traveled a lot, and sometimes they'd go like get some work trip, and then we'd like all go for like make it work like that. And when I was 3, my dad I think had to go to Spain, but I guess I had a passport at 3, right? You have a
you
have
can.
A passport,
yeah,
right?
babies can get passports.
You must.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably Spain. I don't remember Spain. I remember like we were in Madrid, I think, and I remember the slide in the park. That was about it.
Wow.
So I guess
do both your parents speak Spanish?
Yeah,
they do.
My mom used to teach languages in high school.
Ah, huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're kind of worldly.
Yeah,
yeah. What was yours? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, mine was Belize.
Right.
In college. So I was like a late bloomer, late traveler. Well, I mean, we traveled. We went to Florida all the time.
Yeah.
From Tennessee. Yeah. But really my parents were the ones that traveled. They would ditch us kids with a babysitter.
Yeah. I don't blame them for that though. Like to be like, we got to get rid of them.
Well, it happened because we did a family trip to San Antonio, Texas when we were all in grade school, and none of us wanted to leave the hotel because we were staying in Embassy Suites. Shout out, beautiful hotel, and it was a suite, and they had cable TV, and we did not grow up with cable. So on vacation there in San Antonio, we didn't want to go do anything except just watch cable TV. So after that, my parents were like, well, that's it. You're not going. We're not doing family.
Spending money on this trip.
Yeah,
all you're going to do is watch cable TV.
So they would travel abroad and stuff. But yeah, so in college, I did a mission trip to Belize. We went to school and like did some building and stuff. But I went to, my first trip was Paris, and I went by myself.
Yeah.
Solo travel.
Yeah, it's cool.
Which I want this podcast, I want this episode to really empower not just women, I want men as well to be empowered to travel solo. But as a woman, there are certain precautions you have to take.
For sure. And like, of course, when you like look at the news, all you ever see are like the horror stories of like how, and there's been a couple of things that have happened, and you do have to be careful. I mean, a man or a woman, anybody needs to be careful when they're out there traveling.
Well, so you went first to your mom's house in France.
So my mom lives in France. She's lived in France for years and years and years. Again, my family, I'm from the DC area, so there was a lot of international sort of stuff out there. So my mom's been in France for a long time. So I went and stayed with her just to like, visit, and I go out there all the time. Mm-hmm. And then from there, my roommate came. So my roommate came with me to the roller skating camp. And so she met me there. We did some fun things in France for a couple of days, and then we flew to Malaga ourselves just for a couple of days just to like hang out. And we saw flamenco, and we had tapas, and we were like super duper tourists, and it was really fun. And
but as two women, what type of precautions did you take?
Well, I think the number one thing, and I've also like, I realized that like I've done a fair amount of solo travel too, like just fully by myself. Mm-hmm. When I went to like Sweden for like just a short amount of time.
You had a layover.
I had a giant like layover, but I really wanted to go into Stockholm, and like I was scared. I mean, I honestly was like scared to like, I was like,
was that your first? Swedish. I feel like that was your first time going somewhere by yourself.
I mean, it sort of depends on how you look at it, because like I've been in other countries by myself for like periods of time. Like I was in Italy by myself and things like that, a little bit here and there. But like, but to like go 100% by myself, where like nobody was around to like save me if anything went wrong. The number one thing is to be super prepared. So to do your research, to know what parts of town are safe, what parts of town are not safe. Don't get like an Airbnb in some crappy neighborhood that you don't know anything about, because you're going to save $50 or whatever. Like that's not worth it.
Yes.
It's not worth it.
Right.
And for me, like Sweden was so safe, and it's like such a safe, Stockholm is so safe. And so that was like not a thing. But I was worried about like, how do I take the train in from like the airport into Stockholm? Because it's like this whole thing you have to do. And where do you get the tickets? And I don't speak Swedish and all these things. So I looked up all of that stuff ahead of time.
That's fascinating, because when I went to Paris, I did not do any of that.
Right.
And I was so underprepared because we were getting ready to go to Edinburgh. That's why I was going over there anyway, because we were doing the Edinburgh Fringe. So I spent 3 days in Paris by myself, but we were so busy leading up to that trip that like I didn't have time to research how to even get to my Airbnb or what were the safe areas of town. So I remember when I arrived, I had bought data for my phone, and I was like, I'll just, Google Maps it, no prob.
No.
Ate up my entire data that I was supposed to use for the month over there, just on that one day of trying to find my Airbnb. But it was super safe, and everyone, really, like, people are, you have to be careful, but strangers will help you in other towns. And I pride myself in New York City. If I see a tourist that seems lost or something, I do try to ask, like, do you need help or whatever.
Sure. But that being said, you really, especially if you haven't traveled a lot, like
don't
in the
listen
past, definitely do your research, because like, there are parts of Paris that like might be less safe or whatever. And there's definitely a lot of pickpockets in Paris.
Right.
And so like, even if you don't get hurt, like if you lose your passport on day one, your vacation's ruined. I mean, at minimum, you just have like a really bad time. You know, it makes everything hard. My cousin went on this. He's a guy, and he went on this giant solo trip. It was really cool and inspiring, like through Europe. And he used my mom's house in France as sort of like a hub. And he'd go to like Germany, and he went to Spain. He did the running with the bulls. He ran with the bulls. We were all like, "Don't do it!"
No.
And he had an amazing time, and he stayed in hostels, and he like met all these people like on the trip, so it was like really enriching in that way. But at one point he got his phone stolen because he like just left it on a left it on a bench or something and like went into the ocean to swim because he was alone, you know. So he's like, "We'll just leave it and hide it, and hopefully it'll be fine." And of course, like it wasn't. So it's like shit happens, you know. You gotta like try to like be on top of that a little bit,
right?
But what a cool trip he had.
I mean, yeah. But I think that people don't travel solo because of fear. I think a lot of times because of money or responsibility or, you know.
I think a lot of people in America especially don't travel, period, because of fear, with or without other people.
Yeah.
And like, that's one thing I think is like such a shame because you it's not just about like seeing cool things. It's about like growing as a person.
Right.
Like understanding the world in a different way. And I think that it's such a shame when people say things like, "Well, I don't travel because, you know, I have everything I need right here."
Right.
And I'm like, but there's a difference between everything you need, having what you need, and like you don't even know what you need if you don't even know what's out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like your soul needs more. Your like heart needs more.
Well, I was always so embarrassed, like in my early 20s, of like not having traveled to Europe and being that one person at a party. And when people are talking about, their time in London, you know, during school, or, you know, traveling, backpacking through Europe after college, like I never had those opportunities. And it was because of fear. And because I was number one fear was because I didn't have money. And and in my brain, I thought that traveling abroad would cost tons of money. And that's not true. There's
it just depends on how you do it. Yeah.
Right. And with technology nowadays, especially, that's what's really encouraging people to travel solo as well, because you can read reviews for women, especially. You can read like, this part of the neighborhood is really safe. Airbnb offers lots of great, you know, past travelers who have stayed there, their reviews.
Yeah, reviews I feel like are really useful too. Because even like if you want to take a little tour somewhere, like it's worth reading the review and saying like, are they ripping me off? Is this like gonna be worth it?
Right.
Is it safe? Like when we were in Malaga, we like there was this thing where you could like take a boat. It's very touristy, but you could take a boat to Morocco and then do like a day in Morocco, and like you don't need to have an extra visa or anything, but you can't stay for more than like 6 hours or something like that because of like legally. But so we wanted to do that, but it was a little bit expensive, and then it also was like 6 hours of travel or something. So that was the number one reason why we didn't do it. But as we're looking, you kind of get that sense of like, we don't know these people. Like, we don't know if this is going to be a good tour, a bad tour. We don't know if like it's going to be worth the money. We're about to get on a boat. We're about to get on a boat and go to Africa. I mean, like, so the thing that was really helpful was like looking at the reviews and seeing other people say like, and I don't know. I feel like we've all read enough Yelp reviews that you can kind of get a sense of what's useful and what's fake and what's like whatever.
Right.
And there was a lot of really useful like those like TripAdvisor type websites that can be really useful.
Yes. And that can really make you feel a lot more safe and know where to go and where to stay. And
aren't there like a bunch of like women travel blogs and things?
Yes. There's tons of solo women's travel blogs out there that give you all types of advice. And also I think that it's kind of interesting with the statistics right now with how many women do travel by themselves. There is an awesome Facebook group I just joined, Solo Travel Society on Facebook. And they have like, 230,000 fans or whatever. And they have tons of great advice on there. But 63% of the people that follow that group are women.
That's great.
And then according to Booking.com survey, they found that 65% of U.S. women are taking vacations without their partners.
You know, that can be, I think they say that like traveling with your partner is a good test to see like how compatible you are.
That's what Bill Murray said.
Right. Good old Bill Murray. I love to quote him. But what I also feel is that like sometimes you want to do different things.
Right.
I think that's also very acceptable. So don't not do them because your partner doesn't want to do them. You know, either find a group of your girlfriends and go, or you can go on your own.
Yeah.
That's an option.
Yeah.
So what was one of the blogs that you saw? I thought you found one maybe.
Well, I found this one woman's blog. It's called Rachel Travels. And her story is that she was working for corporate America in New York City making six figures.
Three figures.
I'm like, oh my God,
I
amazing.
relate. Oh my God, I relate.
That was 6 figures, and she was suffering from depression and anxiety and was going to therapy, and just all of a sudden one day was like, I really want to travel. And so she quit her job and then just started traveling the world. And she now has this awesome blog, and she also gets hired all over the world now to teach people how to be travel influencers, which that would be a cool job.
Yeah.
I want to be the next Anthony Bourdain. But yeah, Rachel Hill is her name, and she's actually been named 11 influential Black women in travel you should know by Travel Noir. And she just has lots of really great tips on how to travel by yourself. This other blog that I found, Adventurous Kate's solo female travel blog. So she has a lot of different pointers and stuff. But I honestly think the biggest one is watch your drinking. Watch your drink. Watch how much you drink. Don't get too shit-faced, because then if you are by yourself and you can't, say you get really wasted and you can't find your Airbnb or, that's not good.
That's not good. Or somebody can take it. I mean, that's anywhere, I guess. But and not to, of course, victim blame, but also that's something you actually can have a little bit of control over, especially when you're traveling.
Right.
There was another one on here that was sort of interesting to me, and it's blend in as much as you can. And I think that at first, I think if I had read that a couple weeks ago, I'd have been like, oh, is that really that important? And they're saying one thing is if you stand out too much as a tourist, then you're more of a target for pickpockets and stuff. And that's for sure a thing. But when so we had this really bad layover coming back from Malaga where we had to change flights in Moscow.
Oh, I saw you were in Russia all of a sudden.
It was the worst flight ever, but it was so cheap. It was just this cheaper flight, and it went from I think we spent
now you've been to Russia.
Now I've been to Russia, and I was in Russia. It was the airport, but still, I'm oh my God. And I was really nervous about being in Russia because there's everything that's going on right now, and I kept having these nightmares that we were going to get detained by Putin or something. He'd come in and be not in a sexy way, in a really terrifying way. It was not. It was not good feelings. And then we got there, and you're oh, we're in Russia, and it's an airport, and also people are people, and they're just living their lives. But one of the things that we had a real Russian airport breakfast.
What'd you have?
Oh, it was this crepe thing that had this fresh sour cream, and then there was a fresh cottage cheese in it, and it was so good. It was so good.
Whoa.
And mostly maybe half the people that worked there spoke English, but half of them didn't, and I don't speak Russian. But the one thing about it was interesting is my roommate Crystal was looking up how to navigate Russia, because we were saying we should come back and really see Russia in a real way. And they were saying in this thing that I never would have thought of. They said, don't smile on the street. Do not smile on the street.
In Russia?
In Russia. At least in Russia. And you notice then after she said that, I was looking around and I'm very smiley. And that's kind of how I travel to make, because when you can't speak the language, you want to try to be hi, I'm friendly. Please help me. They were don't do that. And as you looked around, you realized nobody was smiling. People in Russia don't smile. I don't know why. I don't know what that's about. But it's, there's cultural differences. So that's another thing that's very well worth looking up into, because certainly in some Middle Eastern countries, for example, if you walk around and you're not covered properly, that could really become a problem. Right. And it can be an insult. And maybe, I don't quite know what the smiling thing was, but maybe that's an insult, or maybe that's an invitation for someone to come and get really weird with you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I thought that stood out to me as a really, really good tip that you kind of forget about. And the other thing about it is that I think Americans tend to think everything kind of revolves around us in America. And then you get to this Russian airport and you realize the number one language is Russian, right? That makes sense. The next most common language you see around is Chinese.
Whoa.
Because number one, China is closer to Russia, and they have a lot more Chinese tourists.
Right.
So of course they're going to cater to China and not to America. And then also, China's is a huge world dominating country, right? We're a big world leader, So we can't forget that we're not. And that's another thing that's kind of cool about traveling, is that you realize your life doesn't revolve around you.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not the be all end all. And that's it can be humbling, but can also be kind of exciting, because it also means that there's a world beyond your little tiny dumb bubble.
Right.
You need to get out of that bubble, girl.
Yeah. Americans. Yeah. When I was in Thailand, they all just wanted to talk about America and Trump and, but it did make you feel so much smaller than what you're used to.
Yeah.
I mean, we're taught America's the best, America's the greatest, da 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 da. Yeah, you start traveling and all of a sudden you learn very quickly that is not the case.
Yeah, and that there's also
a very big world out there.
Yeah, and it's exciting, and it's an exciting thing.
Yes.
That's not to like scare anybody off. It's to just sort of say like, you think you've done it all, you think you have it all, you think that you've seen it all.
Yeah,
there is so much more, and I think also it builds what is the word? Like sensitivity to other people. Like traveling makes you sensitive to other people's plights because you finally see them, you know, and you see people like all this nonsense that's not nonsense, but all these horrible things that are happening right now with like immigration in the United States.
Right.
If you go to Mexico and experience what, you know, Mexican people are like, and I'm saying Mexico, but the truth is a lot of these people that are suffering right now are not even Mexican. But if you see other cultures and you see like people are people want to be happy, people have families, people live lives, people are nice, people are friendly, some people are jerks, some people, I mean, people are people. That like once you start to see that when they're not speaking English, then you can be maybe a little bit more sensitive to how like if they're suffering, they're just humans like you.
Right.
And I think it is really hard for people to like fully understand that until they start seeing it for themselves.
Well, for me, when I finally did go to Europe, the thing that hit me the most was how young America, the country is compared to, you know, you go and you see the architecture over there and you learn about the history and you understand that, you know, America, we tear things down and new. And
also we haven't been around.
No, we haven't.
The European influence hasn't been around very long in the United States.
Right.
It was crazy to be in Edinburgh. And
and
to
the
see these like,
that.
there'd be like a building. It was like, and this was built in 1001. And you're like, what?
What? Yeah. That to me is like so exciting. And that to me is what put me more in my place of like, I'm just this little tiny sliver of a moment in this grand world and life that is happening.
We went to this like fort in like fortress thing in Malaga, and Malaga is like very influenced. That southern, the Andalusian area of Spain is very influenced by the Moors. And if you don't, the Moors were like this Arabian like group of people that were coming in. Yes. And so this fortress, it was built originally by the Moors in like 700.
Oh my God.
And it was built around a Roman ruin. So when they came in 700, that ruin was like predated Jesus. So like they were like, whoa, look at this old thing here. Let's build around it. And then they're thinking like, wow, that's ancient. And then now we're looking at it going like, oh, I mean, it's like mind boggling. Wow. And to walk through like the halls of like something built in 700, you're like, people walked here. People did stuff in this building. It's weird. It's really mind blowing.
Yeah.
And kept getting invaded by other groups and things. And they had like the history of it. And you're like, wow, I don't even know.
Well, good for you to go do some history stuff on your blading trip.
Well, I mean, that was before we started blading. It was like when we were being tourists. We're like, what else is there to do? We also went to an Arabian bath.
What?
See, that's why you should travel. You can do fun things.
Well, I went to Sarasota, Florida while you were in Spain.
That's almost like international travel.
It felt like it because I had a connecting flight. All this, I was pretending like I was going to the south of Spain.
Sure, why not?
But there are some downsides to traveling as a woman, and I don't want to touch on this too much because I don't want it to scare people off. But there are some negative sides to traveling solo as a woman, and I came across one of our comedian friends that we've done shows with. Her name's Brooke Cardis. Everybody follow her on the socials. Her on Instagram, it's not gay as in happy. And then it's at Brooke Cardis on Twitter, so you can follow her. She's very funny. But on Facebook recently, she had posted mainly about like how you have to listen to your alarm bells, like your women's intuition when something happens, and especially like fuck politeness. And she has this one experience where she was getting off of the elevator at a hotel, and there was a guy, she had like, you had to key yourself in. And so she had keyed herself in, but the guy didn't have a key. And he didn't end up pressing like a button for the floor. So they go up together, and then he's like, ladies first.
It just was shady.
It was super shady and especially like, thank you so much. Chivalry isn't dead. Thanks. I don't know. But then you're walking in front of this person, going to your hotel, and then
to your room. And so you don't know.
Right.
Maybe he was innocent, or who knows. It doesn't worth speculating.
We travel, luckily that we have the both of us when we go on tour. And remember that one time when we had a man all of a sudden come into
that's what I was just thinking about.
So we were on tour with Les Claypool years ago, and all of a sudden we're sitting in our hotel room, and a man all of a sudden our door was locked.
Oh yeah.
But he had a key, and he burst in and it was past midnight, and I was like, I think I was half asleep or whatever. So I was just like, oh, hey, that's weird. There's a guy here.
Jumped out of bed, and I was like, what are you doing here?
Yeah,
I was like,
screaming.
And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And it turned out, luckily for us, that there was like a 12-year-old working the front desk of that hotel. It was like really weird.
Yeah, you marched
left
down
him.
there.
I was
didn't
like,
you?
what is going on? And it turned out they had like left this kid to work the night shift for some weird reason. He like didn't know what he was doing. And this guy like had lost his key, which happens.
Right.
And was like, and they were like, what's your room number? He's like, I think it's like 211 or whatever. So they just gave him
murders
that
happen.
key. But that wasn't really a murder situation, because that guy was like,
he felt so
more
bad.
scared than we were, I think, because he was like, oh God.
Well, on one of the travel blogs, it said women should bring a doorstop with them wherever they go, so you can put that under the door. So when we travel, we can do that. But now we like lock it up and we do, because we didn't have the thing, the click, the
thing on the
chain or the thing. Had we done that, no problem, Bob.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, luckily the guy was it was just like a silly. But yeah, you have to watch out for those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of like inspiring solo travelers that were females, and the only person I kept thinking about was Amelia Earhart, and I was like, I guess I won't talk about her. Because we all know how that ended.
She was such a great solo female
she
traveler.
did some amazing things.
She did.
Unfortunately,
that's
all
the number
we
one.
remember is the worst one. So don't crash your plane in the middle of the ocean.
You got to come back if you travel solo.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited you're back. I really have missed you. It's weird, like not seeing you for a month. Very strange.
Well, yeah, and we do a lot of travel together, but we need to do more international travel. Let's go to
Yes.
like Norway.
Oh my God,
and
all
play
of our
those
friends right now are
shows
in
or whatever.
Edinburgh, and I have so much
know,
FOMO.
I know, me too.
I want to go next year.
Let's go next year. I want to go
about
next
it.
year too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go roller skating camp, and then we'll go to Edinburgh.
Done. Good. But for folks that are curious of where we're traveling next as Reformed Whores, we are headlining at the Dead Crow Comedy Club in Wilmington, North Carolina, October 12th and 13th, I believe. So we'll be on the road. Yeah, come see us
That'd
there.
be really fun to see all that.
And we have some fun shows coming up in New York City as well. But yeah, I think this is a good, inspiring, hopefully empowering podcast about travel.
And let us know. I mean, also, if you have any fears that you're like, I really want to travel, but I'm too afraid of fill in the blank, send us an email and ask us about it and see if we can give you any advice about that. Because again, like I learned in my skating camp, one of the things to build confidence is having strong people around you, encouraging you and reminding you that you have what it takes to do what you need to do.
Well, also, I mean, like your blading camp, there's so many different, like, not camps, but different, tours or organizations that do meet up all over the world with solo women. So if you would go solo, but then you'd be with other women from around the world, like similar to what you did.
Totally.
So you're not alone. You can travel and make friends and do that sort of thing. But I mean, I think that's just, I want to do that. I'm so inspired by your trip. I'm not going to go blading, but maybe.
No, you don't need to go blading. Just go to Malaga.
Yeah. Okay.
Or Moscow. One or the other.
I don't want to go to Moscow.
No, you want to go. It's cool.
Yeah.
Food's really good.
Do you know Russian?
People don't smell. Da.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, what? Oh my God. Katie is turning Russian right in front of us. Oh my God. She's a spy. Well, I think that's the end.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for listening to Difficult Women. Look us up. Reformed Whores is our band.
And make sure that you if you're enjoying the podcast, please tell your friends about it so we can continue spreading the gospel of the difficult women.
Yeah. And follow us on Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah. So we can
make four figures a month,
year.
instead of three.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. You waved.
I did. When I was a little girl, my daddy told me, Kate, if you wanna catch a man, you gotta give him lots of space. Play it cool and be a flirt, but just make sure you think. And don't pick up the telephone when you had too much to drink. Don't draw him down when you come home late. Don't call him an inebriate.